You're hearing this. You're aware of the words, the voice, the space around you. And you're aware that you're aware. That simple fact, quiet, obvious, is also extraordinary. Consciousness isn't just perception, it's presence. The ability to reflect, to imagine, to remember. It's a part of you that thinks and knows it's thinking. For all its familiarity, we still don't understand it. We don't know where it comes from or why it exists at all. Is it a byproduct of biology, a trick of the brain, or something deeper, something the brain allows but doesn't fully explain? This episode is a journey into that mystery, from ancient philosophies to modern science, from animal minds to artificial ones. We'll explore what it means to be conscious, and what it means to carry that awareness through the world. Consciousness is often defined as the state of being aware, but awareness alone doesn't explain the full picture. We aren't just reacting to the world, we're reflecting on it. We not only feel, we notice ourselves feeling. We remember, we anticipate, and we imagine lives not yet lived. That's more than awareness, that's something more complex. This is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. How does a physical brain produce subjective experience? Why does a memory have texture? Why does music move us? Some divide consciousness into layers. The base layer, simple sensory awareness. Then higher levels, self-awareness, abstract thought, moral reflection. You can walk, eat, or even hold a conversation without giving it much thought, but the moment you notice you're doing it, you shift. The lights come on behind the eyes. Consciousness in that sense isn't just the engine, it's the mirror, the witness, the quiet observer inside the noise. Did consciousness emerge all at once, or did it evolve gradually, shaped by millions of years of survival? Most scientists lean towards the second idea. Life began with reaction, move toward the light, flee the heat, find the food. But as organisms became more complex, so did their awareness. Eyes evolved, then memory, then the capacity to anticipate. Some animals passed the mirror test, recognizing themselves as individuals: elephants, dolphins, and magpies. They may not ponder the meaning of life, but something is happening behind those eyes. In humans, consciousness seems deeply tied to language, memory, and social complexity. We don't just experience the world, we reflect on it. We simulate futures, we revisit the past, we ask questions no other animal seems to ask. One theory, called the social brain hypothesis, suggests that consciousness evolved so we could better navigate relationships. If you can guess what others are thinking, you survive longer. Maybe then consciousness began not as a grand awakening, but as a subtle shift in how life began to model itself. Long before MRIs or microscopes, humans still wondered, what is the self? Where does thought live? In ancient Egypt, the heart was believed to house memory and emotion. In Hindu philosophy, the Atman, the self, was timeless, reborn again and again. In Taoist thinking, awareness wasn't separate from the world but flowing within it. Plato imagined the soul as a charioteer struggling to steer the body. Aristotle saw the soul as the essence of life, form embedded in function. And then came Descartes. I think, therefore I am. A mind aware of itself, separate from the body, and in some ways separate from the world. These ideas weren't science in the modern sense, but they were our first frameworks, our first efforts to name the presence we feel behind the eyes. Consciousness wasn't just a function, it was something sacred, elusive, and deeply personal. Today we can scan the brain. We can measure activity, map networks, observe awareness, fading in sleep, or returning from anesthesia. Consciousness appears not in a single spot, but in patterns, rhythms, and interactions across the brain. Integrated information theory suggests consciousness arises when information flows freely within a system, bound together in a unified whole. Another, global workspace theory, sees the brain as a stage. Many mental processes operate backstage, but only a few make it to the spotlight of awareness. Still, none of these models fully explain the most basic question: why does any of this feel like anything at all? We can locate the neural signature of a smell, but not why that smell triggers memory, meaning, or emotion. And what about machines? Could they become conscious? Or are they destined to simulate thought without ever feeling it? Consciousness so far resists the lab. We can track it, but we still can't quite grasp it. So why does consciousness matter? Because it's the lens through which we see everything. It shapes how we suffer, how we connect, how we decide what matters and what doesn't. It raises hard questions. When does a person become a person? What makes a life meaningful? Are we responsible for our thoughts, or merely passengers along for the ride? Some believe we're becoming more conscious of each other, of systems, of the planet. Others say we're splitting, scattered, distracted, barely present in our own lives. Perhaps the deeper challenge isn't just to understand consciousness, but to live consciously, to ask better questions, to move through the world awake. Because awareness on its own isn't wisdom, it's a tool, a flame, or a mirror. And what we do with it might be the most conscious decision